Let's go!
Hey, great job today, like you said, but this ain't over.
Houston Texans fans didn't know what hit them when the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Steve Spagnuolo, just shut them down. And look, it started off with a bang here. Houston had some good things going on this opening drive, a good little route here to Joe Mixon. We brought this up in our preview piece that Joe Mixon in the passing game would be effective. So as you look forward to Buffalo, obviously Joe Brady, out of all offensive coordinators, you could argue he is the best when it comes to scheming things up for running backs out of the backfield. That's going to be tough. And obviously Joe Mixon, out of play action, you hit this deep over here to Dalton Schultz. This is a good touchdown saving tackle right here by number 6. I understand Schultz wanted the hip drop here, but in that spot, you just got to get him down. Yeah, this was a weird third down conversion. I think this is one that Spags would like to have back. You get Nico Collins in the slot-ish position, the number 2 in that trips, and he just destroys Shamari Connor here. I think Connor thought the safety would be a little bit closer. It's probably a little too easy to allow the number 1 guy to get that. 3rd and 9, this was one of Spags' best calls of the day. You start off with a crowded line of scrimmage. You think it's press man over here with no safety help over the top. Obviously, C.J. Stroud does sniff this out, that the DB does bail out here and guards double teams right here Nico Collins. So obviously you're going to work to the trips side, and the coverage looks to be pretty good across the way. Now, the one thing I'll say is Josh Allen is not going to do this. He will bail out to the right side, but this was not an instance where I felt C.J. Stroud should have bailed out this way. I think he should step up into this pocket. So he decides to roll out and scramble drill it. And George Karlaftis, as many of you know, was just so unfreaking believably good in this game. He's able to chase C.J. Stroud down, whose legs are actually pretty potent in the postseason. Man, really, really, really good play right there by George. So Kansas City, this secondary is just not really that good, if you ask me, right? Obviously, no L'Jarius Sneed, and man, this just gets all out of sorts. You can see the communication right here is just off, and anytime you bunch receivers, especially with an alpha like Nico Collins attached to it, it could be tough, but the one thing you can't have happen here is have 2 guys go out on John Mechie. 13 was just bullied right here. That is just way too easy, if you ask me, on 3rd and 2. And Nico Collins, 2 early third down conversions where he basically was untouched. All right, so if the Chiefs play the Commanders in the Super Bowl, you're going to see a lot of this, right? Overload to the right side. You're bringing an extra offensive lineman. In fact, this is 2019 LSU's Austin Deculus right here, okay? So, man, this is just picture perfect. And you saw in the Steelers game, the Steelers really dominated the Chiefs early in spots like this. Well, it helps that Chris Jones is playing, okay? This is just not a good get-off right here by the right guard. You want to climb on this outside zone to try and get to this outside shoulder. Chris Jones stalemates him. You really can't do anything about this. And look, it looks like there's a hole right there. There isn't, because Tranquil does a really good job of staying play side A-gap, scraping over the top of Chris to be right here to fill in this hole. And that's just good run fitting defensively. First quarter, it's 3rd and 8, and this is a 3-point sack right here by Chris Jones. First off, let's take a look at the actual pass rush. It's just really good stuff. Wait for this offensive tackle to lean, and then you just bend the corner. And, man, that is just ridiculous speed right there. He's just a freak. All right, now why was this such a big sack? Well, once again, this is something that Kansas City needs to get sorted out. The pre-snap communication, you could see the Chiefs were befuddled pre-snap quite a bit, okay? And guess what? They had open guys here, all right? This is a conversion. This is a conversion. But guess what? Chris Jones, he's just that good. Yeah, so in our Chiefs preview piece, I talked quite a bit about Joe Mixon. I thought he was going to have a pretty good day, and he ended up being pretty solid, as many of you know. And this time they are running outside zone away from Chris Jones, all right? So Karlaftis going up against Laramie Tunsil. Look, the Buffalo Bills have a really good offensive tackle in Deion Dawkins. Karlaftis, who was really good, gets absolutely dominated right here. It was a good double, get to second level right here. That's, a Hall of Fame level play right there in Laramie Tunsil. And that's just easy, easy, easy stuff. So I think watching this game, run away from Chris Jones, and I think you'll be fine. 3rd and 10, and this is what you can't do versus Josh Allen, and C.J. Stroud made him pay. This time, once again, I would heavily consider Spags look into how much better his defense is when he's not dropping his defensive lineman back into coverage. It seems like the Chiefs have given up a lot of big plays over the past couple of weeks doing this thing. And obviously, C.J. Stroud sees a wide-open rush lane right here, and he takes it, as he should, on 3rd and 10. And look, if this is Josh Allen, it's, lights out, all right? Yeah, I mean, John Mechie, is he open right there? Maybe so. But C.J. Stroud off to the races, an absolute huge gain. And Nick Bolton can't catch C.J. Stroud. Do you think he's going to catch Josh Allen? No. Okay? So I just do not want to give up wide open rush lanes to Josh Allen because he can actually house one of those. Earlier, there was a 3-point sack. Here's another one. Okay? This time, it's not Chris Jones. It's 90 on a minute. I can't say his last name. And he gets a strip sack here. Okay? So the ball's loose. And look, makes it a tougher field goal. You end up missing the field goal. It's just a big, big, big play. Another thing that's interesting here is I rarely see the Bills just run slant, slant, slant. That's exactly what they did. And this was the worst call against this because every DB right here has inside leverage. And you're just never getting that. And look, that was not going to be completed. It just wasn't. It's just good coverage as well. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let me know who number 27 is. I think he went to either Virginia or Virginia Tech. I believe he had a tough game, just looking at it from the get-go. I'm going to look at the PFF grades here in a second. I expect, knowing that the Bills are going to watch this film and see that there was a lot of coverage miscommunications, they're going to do a lot of trips bunch. And the reason why you'll do that is if the communication is just off, that means routes aren't going to get passed off well. And that's exactly what happens here. 27 on this jam on 19. Lee deoccupies the space right here. 35's right here, unless 35 was supposed to be on a meg call right here on John Mechie. But it's just that's just too easy at this level. It really is. And look, these aren't explosive plays. Man, oh man, oh man, what a play right here from CJ. Coming out of the 2-minute timeout, Justin Reid is right here on this deep over from John Mechie, and he's just late to drive down on it. Now, he does have to respect if Mechie can go vertical here. This is a good job by CJ anticipating that this is going to be open. Look at what he's actually ripping this. That's just a missile. Really good throw, and once again, it's 27 getting burnt. All right. Where the Chiefs won this game, their individual pass rush wins were so big, right? Chris Jones draws the double team, so your one-on-one matchup needs to get home, and guess what? It gets home. All right, I have no idea why CJ just didn't throw this. I know it's getting tackled immediately, but there's a guy right in his lap, and it's because 98 makes a really good play. 51 coming off the edge as well versus a Hall of Famer. Really, really, really good stuff. And eventually the Texans have to settle for a field goal. So we've reached halftime. I hope you guys would consider a donation. These film studies are not easy to make. And I want to give a special shout out to Joe Cullen, the defensive line coach for the Chiefs. You can make a case he was the best coach on the field because his guys, even the non-Chris Jones players, he's not even on the field right here, just stepped up and made big plays. 97's not really a stud. Look at him blow up this outside zone run right here. And this is just a huge play. I mean, instead of, 1st and 15, it now becomes 2nd and Overland. But it gets to this 3rd and 5. They completed an in-breaker before this. And guess what? They go back to running triple slants. This time it works. CJ's throwing with a lot of anticipation. And guess what? your guy, Dalton Schultz, picks up the first down. All right, one thing I'll say is I'm a huge Justin Reid guy. Now, obviously, his brother is one of my favorite players ever. But, man, he had a tough go. He just had a tough go. He gets beat to the inside pretty badly here. And it's second and Lenexa. Man, it was just a tough game, right? Gives up a huge one here, and it's a first down. Yeah, so big Carl off this game, but you're not going to be able to do this versus Josh Allen, and you were lucky to get away with this versus C.J. Stroud. The Chiefs were a little too rush happy up the field going past the QB. If you're going to do this, there needs to be a DT over the top of this or some type of QB spy because Josh Allen's just going to get through it. And here, C.J. Stroud finds a rush lane, and maybe right here this is on Leo Chenal, okay? He was the quasi-QB spy right here, and he gets beat right here to the outside. It's a really good play right here by CJ. And look, I will say I do think the Bills are a better matchup for Kansas City than the Ravens would have been, even though the Bills have already beaten KC this year. I want to spend some time talking about bounces. So earlier in this drive, Joe Mixon had a nice bounce to the right side. And once again, a lot of these runs were successful running away from Chris Jones, okay? This honestly is a very creative run concept. The Ravens are the absolute best at it. You get an overload here to the left side. But remember earlier on that overload, you ran it to the left side, it got stuffed. This time, it's a little wrap right here where the fullback fakes like it's going to the left, but it's actually a run to the right. Now you have more numbers to the right side of the line of scrimmage than you do the left, even though the defense is thinking the overload is to the left. It technically is, but now there's just far more people to the right, okay? So you have 5 blockers to the right. They do a good job, the Chiefs, squeezing it, but you need your contained corner right here to stay wide. All right, he does, but the fullback picks it up. And guess what? Tranquil, a little too slow to get out of here on Joe Mixon. 6, who was also tough. He really got cooked, literally and figuratively, in this game. It's a walk-in touchdown for Joe Mixon. This is just such ridiculously good play calling. So they bring the overload back in. So Austin Deculus, the right tackle, and basically an overload is when you put an extra offensive lineman on the field and you overload one side of the line of scrimmage, okay? But this is where it gets really sexy in that it's not really an overload because all Deculus is the tight end, right? It's still 3 receivers, no tight ends, and 1 running back, right? So it's still 11 personnel, but it's technically kind of 11.5 personnel because this isn't really a tight end, or actually it would be 10.5, whatever. It really is good design, all right? So play action to the right. Look at how heavy this play action to the right forces all these defenders to go to the right, okay? Boom, all right? Now look, every defender is over here, and now it's just a pure 2-on-2 to the backside, and as many of you know, 27 have been getting cooked. The problem here is Chris Jones for the Texans is just blowing this play up. Joe Mixon makes a business decision. He whiffs Chris Jones on the pickup, but C.J. Stroud is still able to get this throw off. Man, that is a ridiculous throw right there to Nico Collins. Okay, so here's the series that decided the game after that deep completion. All right, this is a 2-man route concept. They were ready for it. God, this is just really good coverage. And guess what? The only thing you could do is throw to your check down. And that's just got to be complete if you're CJ Stroud. That is a huge, huge miss. Make this guy miss. It's a big gainer. Get to second down. And this is where losing Tank Dell, who got hurt in this game, he cooked the Chiefs a few weeks ago. And not having Stephon Diggs really hurts you. All right? Man, you're throwing the football here to Jay Wayne, all right? Jay Wayne, that sounds like a rapper who had a mixtape that he'll sell to you at a gas station. And this honestly ends up being a ridiculous throw right here by C.J. Stroud. Look at the touch. Okay, it's zero coverage basically, and he anticipates this, This is a difficult catch. You still got to make it in the playoffs. Now, this is where this gets really interesting. Spags calls not only a blitz here that gets home, he calls a second. So if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I need to understand that when I get into this extended red zone, especially in the playoffs, this is where Steve Spagnuolo likes to send blitzes from everywhere. All right? This does not get communicated properly. All right? Obviously, you would like the running back to slide across and pick up Bolton. This is obviously a slide left protection here. And look, the right guard lets Bolton go. You would like to see Mixon come across. Right here, it's just, Spags out scheming them. All right. Still, this could have been caught. It's a good play right there by Cook. All right, very next play. It's 3rd and Lee's Summit. You've got to get to the 30-yard line. But in this spot, you don't have to pick up all the yards, right? What I like to call normally here are little screens or little handoffs, but obviously if you're an empty, you can't hand it off. This is a really good call by Spags as well. It looks like they kind of checked into this, all right? Because once this running back fans out, there's no way you could pick up all of this, right? So once they crowd the line of scrimmage, the protection should have changed to just crunching everything to the inside. It doesn't. You have a safety unblocked A-gap pressure right here, straight man-to-man coverage on the back end, and this is just a losing proposition every single time. This honestly is just an all-time great defensive call right here by Steve Spagnuolo. And guess what? The Texans have to go for it here on 4th. 4th and Olaf. Man, this is just tough. Really, 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 really tough if you're the Texans, okay? You've got to have better protection right here. If you're telling Dalton Schultz to stay in the block, this has just got to be better. He gets beat really badly right here from George Karlaftis. Not the best effort either. Man, I am destroying him in the film session. Let's see if something would have been open here. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, no, nothing's open. I mean, the coverage is just really good. This is just Spags out scheming him, and your guys just making more plays. Really good play right there by George. All right, Texans get the ball back. Play action right here after a 4-yard gain. They're only down 8. 4th quarter, you still have a chance. Play action, roll out to the right side. Man, now I don't think CJ's ever making that throw. It is open. But McDuffie, man, what a freaking play this was. Is that pass interference? Maybe. But look at him get his hand right in there to squirt it loose. And it sets up this 3rd down. What a freaking call right here from Spags. All right, so he doesn't actually get exotic. He trusts his 5-man rush right here to get home. But guess what? They don't get home. All right, so if you're the Texans, you're taking this all day, every day. Now, is there a lot of pressure? Is this pocket collapsing? Sure, but it's not terrible either, okay? So watch what happens. This safety rolls into the box, and his job right here as this kind of robber player is to read the eyes of C.J. Stroud, okay? If you see him looking towards the in-breaker, you need to get over here and poach it, all right? Now, the funny thing is, out of this bunch, this could have been completed to Nico Collins right now, all right? I don't know why CJ was looking here to the left and why he's not just ripping it, and he probably still should have thrown this. But 21 was right there in the window, and now CJ, roll it to his left, decides to loft this, and Justin Reid comes over and makes this play. And you'll see it here. It's 21. What is that, Hicks? Okay. CJ's afraid Hicks is going to come over and make this play. I think that still could have been ripped. Still, he floats it. Corner's able to come over. Reid takes a big hit. Watch the game with a bunch of Chiefs fans. Shout out to my guy, Brody, man. And shout out to the Kingdom. You guys have been blowing up my videos. I really, really, really do appreciate it. I honestly thought the Texans should have gone for it on that 4th and 6. But still, it's Karlaftis. Again, making a play. Obviously, this is not the best pocket presence in the world from CJ. I would have liked to have seen him climb right here to help out his rush. I think he could have climbed a little bit quicker and obviously got out right here. But Karlaftis was just a magician, right? just kept making play after play after play. Gets to this 3rd and 5, and once again, trips bunch. The funny thing is every team struggles with this, right? The Falcons are really good at this with Kirk Cousins early in the year. And the problem is if you're going to play too high, get exotic up front, more often than not, you're going to be playing 2-man underneath it, and that is just not good versus this coverage. And you'll see 21 trying to get over the top of this route right here. He runs into the corner who's guarding Hutchinson on the end breaker, and even though Karlaftis had a lot of pressure, CJ's able to get that ball right there to Hutch, and it's a first down. All right? Big play. All right, so CJ Stroud on this final drive had a ridiculous 3rd and 11 throw to Dalton Schultz. The defense was fine. It was just literally CJ Stroud making a ridiculous play. Man, this is such good pass rush right here from 98, who's had his moments this year. And this honestly is how you want your rush to be, especially with Chris Jones not on the field. Okay? 3-man rush, generating pressure, and there being a QB spy to pick up the proverbial scrap. So you get CJ Stroud running. Tranquil is right there to pick him up, okay? And if Josh Allen is making throws like this, you can live with this, right? This is a really good quarterback and a really good receiver making a 1 in a million catch right there. And look, if you give up those types of plays, you live with it, right? After 2 really difficult completions, though, they still need to convert in the red zone. And that's where things go awry. I do think he had Mechie on this end breaker. I'll go look at the end zone camera here in a second. When everything is so tight and you have a good pocket, yeah, I mean, Stroud in particular is really good at reading digs. This is there, and guess what? This is honestly still there. A lofted throw probably gets this done right here, or just a top shelf throw. But once again, it's George Karlaftis just making big plays. 97 also had a really good game for Kansas City. And once again, no Chris Jones on the field. It's big. And then this time, once again, Dalton Schultz. It's just such pitiful effort, this blocking. It's just so casual with the game essentially on the line. Karlaftis makes the big play. Wow. And obviously, Chiefs special teams, man, there's such a huge advantage with Butker and the blocks, as you see right here, Chenal at the end. So, Kansas City was outgained by more than 100 yards, outpossessed by roughly 7 minutes, and they still win the game comfortably by 2 possessions. They just are that team, okay? It's just that simple, y'all. This Kansas City defense is a championship-level defense, even with all the holes. We talked about this in our Kansas City breakdown offensively. I am wondering if they have solved football, because they really force you to be perfect. They don't give up wide open, over-the-top kind of touchdowns, and you've got to be able to convert in the red zone. Last year in the playoffs, Josh Allen missed that Khalil Shakir inbreaker because Chris Jones made a big play, and that's where Joe Cullen steps in. The defensive linemen of the Kansas City Chiefs in almost every single playoff matchup, they just win their matchups, right? With swims, rips, relentless pressure, bending the edge. In all 3 phases, they are oftentimes the better team in the trenches, even though both their trench units are full of holes. So it really is an impressive thing to witness, and that's where Steve is just a difference maker, the coaching staff of Kansas City. Now, you're going up against Josh Allen, who is indeed Superman. I actually do think this Chiefs defense matches up somewhat well versus Allen. And part of why I had the Ravens winning the Super Bowl is Baltimore's just a brutal matchup offensively for this Chiefs defense. So I actually feel pretty good about Kansas City getting it done at home this weekend, even though I would like to see a different team in the Super Bowl. But Chiefs Kingdom, let me know what you guys think down below. It is Power Hour NFL. Boom! And tonight we're doing ribs.